we go to Keir Starmer, the glorified McDonald's manager. So I've come up with a perfect analogy for Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, and I will explain all in further detail. So I was wondering a few days ago, does anyone else think this? You know, why is it that Keir Starmer says one thing, but then does a completely different thing? He'll tell you he's going to stop the migrants, and then he'll open up, the boats keep coming, and he makes it easier for migrants to come. He says he's going to smash the gangs, arrests one person, and the boats keep coming. Why is it? Has he just been taking too many acting classes? Is he lying for the sake of it? Is he simply saying things, especially in the run-up to the election, that people want to hear? Did he actually mean it? Or is the answer a bit more opaque than that? Is the answer that he has no real power at all in his role as Prime Minister? Well, let's look at some clips for our man on the inside. Our man on the inside, Dominic Cummings. Now, I've got two clips. They're very, very similar. But I want you to watch these clips and think, if you were the Prime Minister, you in the audience, if you were the Prime Minister, would you put up with this nonsense? Would you accept this as reality? If you were a cabinet minister, would you accept this reality that I'm going to show to you this evening? So these two clips of Dominic Cummings, right? And clip one, I mean, the clips are so very similar that it's basically the same speech, but they're done in two separate locations, ladies and gentlemen. So let's look at the first clip, and then we'll play the other clip, and then we'll be asking some questions and teasing a wee bit.
The person in the, so if you think of two roles, right? The Foreign Secretary in Great Britain and the private secretary in the PM's office responsible for foreign affairs, an official whose name has never been in the newspapers. That person was like 10 times more powerful and important than the Secretary of State was. And I think this is something which people just don't really realize. And it's part of like how the whole system has become fake. So you have fake meritocracy, fake responsibility, and then fake cabinet government. So they all walk up Downing Street, the cameras whir, they pose, they smile, ha ha, I'm going into the most powerful meeting, aren't I great? But it's all nonsense. The cabinet is just a kind of stage theatre. And actually officials in the cabinet office have already decided it all. When you sit in Whitehall now, right, in meetings, they are literally scripted. So when the Prime Minister has a meeting with ministers, what happens is that before the Prime Minister has that meeting, officials go into the Prime Minister's study and they give him a folder. And in the folder at the front is a thing called Chairman's Notes. And that's the script. And that's what the Prime Minister reads out. And the conclusions for the meeting are in the Chairman's Notes, drafted before the meeting happens, right? So the Prime Minister says, hello, Secretary of State, blah, blah, blah. And then all these officials sit around the sides on chairs around the edge of the room. And then the MP, the Secretaries of State, all look down at their folders because they've all got their scripts, right? And this is why I use the NPC meme, right? Because then the Prime Minister reads out, well, we're here to discuss blah, blah, blah. And then he goes around the room, and then Secretary of State for Justice or the Foreign Secretary reads out his bullet points, and then he reads out their bullet points, and they read out. If anyone goes on script, you see the officials sort of go, and then look over at the other official on the side of the room and kind of go. That means we'll come back to that after the meeting and make sure that doesn't happen. And then at the end, it was a fascinating, great discussion. Thank you so much for your wonderful, insightful, original contributions. And then he reads out the conclusions which are all drafted in advance. And it sounds like a parody, but it is literally how the British state functions. And the MPs are happy with that, right? Well, how does the psychology of it work? The officials are happy because they have almost all the real power. The cabinet secretary is now 100 times more powerful than any cabinet minister apart from the PM. And the MPs are happy because this whole system pretends that they're in charge. So both sides are basically happy with the fake version of the government.
I mean, did you know this? Did you suspect this? I mean, clearly. I mean, would you accept this if you were the Prime Minister? You go into a meeting and somebody hands you a folder and you have to read verbatim what it is. You introduce the meeting. You put your points across. That's scripted. Literally scripted, Dominic Cummings is saying. Literally scripted. Just like our scripted nonsense in Hollywood. They've taken not elements of the British state, but they've taken the entirety of the British state. It's all scripted. And we get this political theatre played out before our eyes. Nothing ever changes. The people who are writing the script are the ones who've got power. This is what Dominic Cummings is saying. And again, he goes into the sort of psychology of it as well. The MPs are happy enough to say, oh, yeah, I'm one of the most powerful people in the world. I will let people believe that I'm one of the most powerful people in Britain. I will allow this false narrative to be put out through the permeate through the culture that we are in charge, when in fact we are not in charge. We are just reading a script, like Wizard of Oz. Don't look at the man behind the curtain type stuff. And we've got another clip. So again, this is interesting as well. So it's a different audience, basically the same speech, but it's a different audience. So I mean, listen to this. Did you even know this? This was a clip that sort of semi went viral, but it deserves tens of millions of hits, this clip of Dominic Cummings. We need to expose just the political theatre that is the Westminster government, that is Keir Starmer, that is the cabinet, that is the succession of governments that are doing the bidding of other people, pretending that they're in charge, pretending that they're making moves, pretending that they're making decisions, when in fact they're glorified McDonald's managers. Let's watch the second clip.
And you have fake cabinet government overall laid on top of that, where the ministers walk down the street and they smile for the cameras and blah, blah, blah. But cabinet now is completely scripted. People don't believe me when I say scripted. They think it must be an analogy, but I mean it literally. So if you're with the Prime Minister and you have a meeting now, this is how a meeting happens. You go into the Prime Minister's study before the meeting and he opens a folder, and inside the folder is a document called Chairman's Notes. And that is an actual script. And the script says, here's how you read it out to introduce the meeting. And then all these different ministers will read out the following things. And then at the end, you read out, this is the conclusion. So the conclusion is drafted in advance, right? So Whitehall now operates on the basis of literally completely scripted meetings, where it's only a bad meeting if somebody goes off script, at which point the officials scurry around afterwards and figure out how to clear it up, because people actually discuss the real issue. My God, this is not how meetings work. Right, so you have a whole set of people who are officials and ministers who've been trained to live in an environment which is the exact opposite of, if you go and have a meeting with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or with William Pitt in 1798, the idea of Pitt sitting there and reading out a script in bullet point fashion, and then all of these clowns reading out their bullet points, and then him reading out his book, just would never have happened in a million years. But that's the way that we are actually governed. It's inseparable from Northcote Trevelyan. Northcote Trevelyan has to be blown up. The reason why what we discussed before about why you see the same problems across the Western world is this same thing. Every Western country is allowed these permanent bureaucracies to develop. And that's why we have exactly the same pathological behaviour everywhere. We should return to the old English system, which is real meritocracy and real responsibility to Parliament, rather than the fake meritocracy and the fake responsibility.
Just to confirm that Dom's story about scripts is true, and I've written those scripts myself, but it's quite rare for the script not to have been agreed with the minister in advance. But that depends on the minister.
Yes, exactly. They're happy being NPCs.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily use that language, but the story is completely true, and it still goes on.
I mean, it's just absolutely sickening here. I mean, yes, there's a guy sitting in the audience that says, I literally wrote the scripts. And they're all chuckling away as if it's one big joke. No, our country is one big joke. The way we're governed is one big joke. And didn't you notice? Have you ever wondered why the same story is being played out in every Western nation, except now in USA with Trump, because if Trump is actually leading, he's actually in charge. This is why they hate him. He's not commanded by this permanent bureaucracy, what Dominic Cummings is describing. No, like every other Western nation. And this is why they're at war with Trump, basically. That constantly, they despise the man. They absolutely despise him. Just to no end, because they are what they want to. He is what they want to be. He is a real leader. They cannot take the fact that he is better than them, that he's leading from the front. He's acting as a leader should. And that's, of course, if you're Keir Starmer, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, if you're Emmanuel Macron, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, if you're Olaf Scholz, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, it's going to get under your skin. Because if you are Justin Trudeau, of course, that's going to get under your skin. Because he is everything. Trump is everything that these leaders want to be, which is a real leader. They thought, when they ascended the extremely greasy pole to leadership of their country, that they were going to be able to make decisions. And they got rudely awakened. But how do we come away from this? How does Britain break through this? We need a leader who is going to cast off this permanent bureaucracy, that's going to say, fuck your notes, fuck your script. I'm not picking cabinet ministers that are going to follow your script. No, in fact, you are barred from the meeting. We'll have our own meetings. That's what we need. We need somebody that is actually a leader, not someone who's going to read a script. It's absolutely pathetic that our country is in this state. It's pathetic that all these Western democracies across Europe are in this state, and North America when you look at Canada. Absolutely pathetic. But again, I'll play the clip again, the second clip, because and pay attention to when the guy pipes up and says, oh Dominic, just to lay credence to what you're saying here, yes, I was writing the scripts. And they all just chuckle away. I think that attitude is absolutely despicable. It would make me angry. It wouldn't make me laugh. Would it make you angry? Would it make you laugh? Tell me. It's absolutely despicable. But then again, it explains Keir Starmer's behaviour. It explains Keir Starmer when he says one thing and another thing happens. He says he's going to smash the gangs. One guy gets arrested that's selling thingies. That's building inflatable boats. And all the boats just keep coming. The migrant hotels just keep popping up. It explains this whole phenomenon of what we're seeing right across the West, is that we've got these permanent bureaucracies installed, just making it almost impossible to make your own path, to write your own script, because the script's been written, to write the own script of your nation. If you're a leader, how dare you take notes from another person? How dare you? No, it should be coming from you and you alone. But again, what does this permanent bureaucracy have on these leaders? This is the thing with Trump again. Trump's a real leader. They don't have anything on Trump. They have to fabricate stuff about Trump because they've not got any leverage over him. Whereas Keir Starmer, they've obviously got leverage over him. Emmanuel Macron, they've obviously got leverage over him. When we're looking at John Swinney, Nicola Sturgeon, they've obviously got leverage over these people. Obviously, otherwise they would deviate from the script. You see what I'm saying? Obviously. So again, we'll play the second clip again, just for people who are joining us. Almost 300 viewers, guys, on a Monday night. Thank you very much. Live and raw, Niall Fraser show. But this, again, it makes me so angry that we've got this fakery, this fake political theatre playing out right across the West. But more to the point, it's in Britain. I thought Britain was better. And you know, Cummings, he brings up William Pitt. You know what I mean? These prime ministers of yesteryear, they would never in a million years allow this shenanigans to go on, this theatre to draw the curtains on this. They would not allow this to continue. And yet everyone, our government in this era, in this time, just allow it to happen. Where is Britain's next actual leader? Where is the person that is not corrupted, that has no leverage over them? Where is he or she? Where? Anyway, we'll play the Cummins again, just because I feel like the reaction from the crowd when this guy pipes up is actually worth saying more than the rest of it, because they're clearly all Westminster types, and they're all laughing about the fact that our country's a big fat joke, that our government's a big fat joke, that it's just a steaming pile of shit.
And you have fake cabinet government overall laid on top of that, where the ministers walk down the street and they smile for the cameras and blah, blah, blah. But cabinet now is completely scripted. People don't believe me when I say scripted. They think it must be an analogy, but I mean it literally. So if you're with the Prime Minister and you have a meeting now, this is how a meeting happens. You go to the Prime Minister's study before the meeting and he opens a folder, and inside the folder is a document called Chairman's Notes. And that is an actual script. And the script says, here's how you read it out to introduce the meeting. And then all these different ministers will read out the following things. And then at the end, you read out, this is the conclusion. So the conclusion is drafted in advance, right? So Whitehall now operates on the basis of literally completely scripted meetings, where it's only a bad meeting if somebody goes off script, at which point the officials scurry around afterwards and figure out how to clear it up, because people actually discuss the real issue. My God, like this is not how meetings work. Right, so you have a whole set of people who are officials and ministers who've been trained to live in an environment which is the exact opposite of, if you go and have a meeting with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or with William Pitt in 1798, the idea of Pitt sitting there and like reading out a script in bullet point fashion, and then all of these clowns like reading out their bullet points, and then him reading out his book, I mean, just would never have happened in a million years. But that's the way that we are actually governed. It's inseparable from Northcote Trevelyan. Northcote Trevelyan has to be blown up. The reason why what we discussed before about why you see the same problems across the Western world is this same thing. Every Western country is allowed these permanent bureaucracies to develop. And that's why we have this exactly the same pathological behaviour everywhere. We should return to the old English system, which is real meritocracy and real responsibility to Parliament, rather than the fake meritocracy and the fake responsibility.
Just to confirm that Dom's story about scripts is true, and I've written those scripts myself, but it's quite rare for the script not to have been agreed with the minister in advance. But that depends on the minister.
Yes, exactly. They're happy being NPCs.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily use that language, but the story is completely true, and it still goes on.
It's just absolutely sickening to watch these people laugh and joke about just what a washed up basket case our country actually is. I mean, we had a comment in, it's yourself talking about who's that leader. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, Matthew. And you think, at this point in time, there's very, very few political parties that will touch me. I might have to make my own at this rate, because it's absolutely despicable. And I might just base it on the housing plan that I busted the other day. But I think people that watch me, people that know me personally, know that I've got the heart and soul of the country mind. The boats need to stop. We cannot be invaded en masse. These people who are here need to be deported en masse. We need to get the army to deport them. They're that bad. We need full-on militarised deportation of the areas in Birmingham, Manchester. London's got, what did they say, 12% or something are illegal immigrants? Absolutely insane numbers. Insane numbers. We need a leader who's willing to go off script, who's willing to take the script, scrunch it up, throw it away, set it on fire, tell the person writing the script, no, away and raffle. We're not doing this. I'm doing what's best for the country, and there's fuck all else you can do to stop me. Watch me do it. That's what Trump is doing in America. And that's why they hate him. Again, we'll go back to it. Before I complete the analogy, we'll go back to Trump and why they hate him so much. It's because the likes of Trudeau, the likes of Keir Starmer, even Boris Johnson. You know, you wonder why Liz Truss lasted 2 weeks. You wonder why Liz Truss lasted 2 weeks. Well, I believe that she went off script. She went off script, and boom. And you know, you can come at me all this crap. Oh, she tanked the economy. What a shite. What a shite. Honestly, what, she tried to put tax cuts in place, tank the economy. Is that what it takes? What, a tax cut will tank the economy? No, I don't think so. No, they're printing money hand over fist. How can it possibly tank the economy when they've got this quantitative easing, just huge amounts of quantitative easing over and over and over again? We've got central banks printing money out in area, creating money out in area, lending it to our governments, and then charging us interest on it. Do you think that's agreeable? Is that what creates our economy? You know, is that what keeps our economy afloat? The central bankers who just magic money out in area and lend us it. They are the real rulers. It goes back to Rothschilds. You know, I don't care who the leader of the country is. Show me the man who controls the finances, and I'll show you who is in charge, who's got the real power. Care not about who the Prime Minister is. Care not who the President is. It's he who controls the finances, controls the government. And this is where we need to go after the central banks. And this is what my housing plan was actually for. But it doesn't matter about the central banks when we've got our resources right under our feet. We've got stone, we've got wood, we've got timber, we've got all the materials, we've got all the collective industrious ability of all our people to create as many homes as possible to make sure everyone's housed. And to a better fact, we don't need to create all these homes. We just need to allow people to make them themselves. That's the thing. We need to give people pride back. We need to give people like this can-do attitude back. Instead of going, oh, you know, it's too hard to build a house. I've not got the land. I've not got this. I've not got that. There's too much red tape. Well, let's slash the red tape to ribbons and let's just build. Let's just build. You know what I mean? If your house caves in on you, that's on you. You built it. We need to train people in building their houses. We need to train people. But again, we've got this freakazoid government in charge, running off scripts. But I do digress, ladies and gentlemen. I do digress. And we'll complete the analogy. So what Dominic Cummings is saying there is he's saying, yep, it doesn't matter what sort of Prime Minister you've got. It doesn't matter what Keir Starmer says. He is running off script, as is his cabinet ministers are running off a script, which makes him a glorified McDonald's manager. Yes, they can hire people. Yes, they can fire people, but they can't change the menu. And that menu for Britain is globalism. The boats will still arrive. Migrants will still arrive. Mass migration will still happen because the menu never changes. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Keir Starmer is a glorified McDonald's manager. There you go. That's your analogy for Monday night. And please do grab a hold of that Dominic Cummings clip. That should have 10, 20, 30, 40 millions of views. Everyone in Britain should have seen that. Everyone in Britain must be made aware of just how fake, how false, how theatrical, how scripted our government is. And just to see, it's just to sort of, we need to peer behind the curtain and just confront the Wizard of Oz and tell him to go fuck himself. We need that leader to arise. We need him. We need him now. Him or her, it doesn't matter, honestly. Christ almighty. Anyway, and just to sort of to punch that analogy in, Keir Starmer, before the election happened, we will stop the boats. We will smash the gangs. We'll smash the gangs. My ass will smash the gangs. Here we go, a clip for Talk TV. Let's watch this.
Let's just look, and this will make your blood boil and curdle this morning as it did with mine. My jaw dropped open, actually, when I read this headline. This is the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. wait for this. We talk a lot about illegal migration on this programme. The Prime Minister, here's his brilliant new idea. He's going to ease the rules for illegal migrants. What? Yes, let me just tell you about this. Labour is watering down border laws designed to block illegal migrants from attaining citizenship, and also is going to stop them, forcing them to submit to scientific age checks.
Absolutely disgusting. And this is, again, it just lays more credence to the fact that he's a smarmy, two-faced liar. He's he's a jumped-up junior salesman who, when you make a sale, you have to phone the boss, and he makes a sale. It's absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I'm going to smash the gangs. I'm going to stop the boats. Let's make it easier. No, he's going to smash the gangs. He says that in public. He's going to stop the boats. But the script he's handed to, the McDonald's menu that he is given, the globalist McDonald's menu that Keir Starmer is reading out to his cabinet, is let's make these asylum seekers, let's get more in. Let's make it easier for them. It's absolutely shocking. So that's your glorified McDonald's manager, ladies and gentlemen.